CTV News with Maya Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Mitsumi is off tonight. It is a story that has captivated people across the province, and many were fearing the worst after a frantic 4-day search for a missing Montreal toddler. Well, late this afternoon came the confirmation of an outcome that everyone had been hoping for. 3-year-old Claire Bell found alive, safe and sound after a large-scale police operation spanning Quebec and Ontario. This is an image of her in a police car shortly after she was found, courtesy of her colleagues at Nouveau Info. The little girl was found wandering alone near a highway in Ontario. Denise Roberts joins us live from Coteau-du-Lac. And Denise, I can just imagine a lot of emotion after the announcement from police this afternoon.
Well, Maya, I think we were all feeling so much emotion as the news came in late this afternoon that Claire Bell was found alive. She was found alone at the side of the 417, and that information came from a tip today from a woman, an important witness that police met. This woman was located in St. Albert on a farm there, and from there police were able to conduct a drone search along the 417 where they located Claire alone, but alive. And as they were sharing this news, Maya, I can tell you we were all feeling the emotion because day 4 of a search, you do not expect this kind of news. But we were so grateful to hear, and the searchers, everyone involved, there were cheers, there were clapping, cars were honking their horns. It was just a beautiful scene because really we don't have the answers yet of how this little girl survived 4 days, but she is alive, and we do know that she is in hospital right now where she is being just checked over to ensure that she is in good condition. But here's more from the police on the condition when they found her today.
She was speaking with the police officer. She was alive. We provided some first aid in water and food for now, and she's been taken care of by the paramedics. So the priority is just to make sure she is okay. How is she healthy? And so that's the priority. And I know you all have a lot of questions about how is this possible, or how has she been discovered? Where has she been? I have the same questions myself, but all I can tell you right now is we're happy that she's alive.
Well, that's exactly it, Denise. I mean, there are still so many unanswered questions here, but police are expected to give more details later tonight.
Yes, there's going to be a press conference held by the OPP and SQ at 7 p.m. and that will be in St. Albert. That's the location where she was last seen, where she was discovered today. And so we will hopefully get some more answers of just what happened in the days in between. And but for now, Maya, it's really a time to just be grateful that this story has the outcome that it did.
All right, thank you very much, Denise. And yes, it is very emotional. We appreciate your reporting. We know it's not easy to report on stories like this, but again, a good news story today, an outcome that we were all hoping for. Thank you, Denise Roberts, reporting live from Coteau-du-Lac. We'll speak to you again a little later in the newscast. And now we take you to the National Assembly, where Premier François Legault reacted to the news.
I want to thank the SQ and the Ontario Police for the work they've done, and we're very happy, and we were sad since it happened, and we worried about the results, but
it's a miracle.
It's almost a miracle.
Meantime, the little girl's mother was back in court today for a bail hearing. She is facing a charge of abandoning a child. Here's Matt Grillo from the Valleyfield Courthouse.
34-year-old Rachel Ella Todd appeared before a judge at the Valleyfield Courthouse. She was wearing a red shirt and looked around the courtroom several times. Her bail hearing was set for Wednesday, but it's been postponed. Another hearing will be held Friday. The prosecution says at that point the defense can present its intentions. It's not clear when the next bail hearing will be held. The prosecution objects to Todd's release.
The investigation is still ongoing, and for the safety of the public, for the administration of the justice, we object for now.
Todd nodded several times while the judge spoke to her. The Crown says a request has not been made to determine if Todd is apt to stand trial.
Not the Crown, not the defense, not the judge asked for decide if she's fit to trial. It's for now she is. She
is facing one charge of abandoning a child. Lawyer Eric Sutton, who has no connection to the case, says depending on how the case develops, more charges could follow.
I'd be surprised if it finishes with a simple charge of child abandonment. I think it's really a starting point. I'd be very surprised if there aren't further charges.
Rachel Ella Todd will remain detained. She is expected back in court for her next hearing on Friday. Matt Grillo, CTV News, Valleyfield.
It seems everyone is wondering what that little girl went through over the past few days, and there are also questions about how she'll get the help she needs to recover from the experience and to process what she's been through. Joining us now is clinical psychologist Dr. Reena Gupta. Thank you for joining us. And, I'll start with, in a situation like this, what are the priorities in terms of care for this little girl?
I think right now we need to make the assumption, without having more information, that she's been through a very traumatic experience. And what a child of 3 needs is consistency, predictability, and a little bit of calm around her. So people that she's very familiar with, people who can love her and coddle her and make her feel safe again. Safety, emotional safety, physical safety, top priorities at the moment. I do understand there's a lot of questions, but she's going to need some time to reestablish a sense of safety.
That must be so difficult because, as we just heard, her own mother, we can imagine, who's one of her primary caregivers, is currently in police custody, facing charges of child abandonment. So that sense of security has to be shaken.
Well, without a doubt, but I'm hoping that there's other people in her life who she's very familiar with and feels very safe with, who can surround her in the moment. I think it's important to understand that, she's young, she's 3, and a lot of people might assume that, because she's 3, she might not remember the trauma of her experiences. But trauma does change the brain. It does affect us, even if we don't remember details later on. And she's going to need some attention, mental health care along the way, for sure.
Of course. And, I'm sure the authorities have lots of questions for her as they try to figure out what exactly happened, where she's been, or who she may have been with over these past 4 days. But, how do you try to get that information when she's only 3 years old? How do you approach this?
Well, I am hoping that the people who do question her are trained in child development. That would be really important, trauma informed. Children of that age need space and time. We get information through play, through creativity with crayons, and really talking about things as if they're not too serious, so it's like, tell me about what you did, and not making it very traumatic for the child, just as if it's a normal conversation. So play therapy and creativity is the way to go, and slow and steady. You can't pull something out. She might be talkative and ready to tell everything, or she may be holding back, and it's really important to meet her at her pace and go slowly from there.
Okay. Dr. Reena Gupta, thank you again for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Turning to other news now, transgender inmates will now be detained in prisons according to their anatomical sex and not their gender identity. Public Safety Minister François Bonnardel announced the new policy in a statement released today. It comes after Mohamed Al-Balouz, who now identifies as a woman, requested a transfer to a women's prison. Al-Balouz killed her spouse and their 2 children, and the case sparked controversy. Bonnardel says the move is to ensure inmates' safety. He also says transgender inmates will be able to continue to identify with the gender of their choice. According to the ministry, transgender inmates represent 0.1% of the prison population. Police have recovered the body of a man who drowned in Verdun earlier this month. The 20-year-old was in the St. Lawrence River near Verdun Beach when he disappeared. Several days of searching at the time of the disappearance turned up nothing, but the man's body was discovered yesterday. The case is being transferred to the coroner's office to determine the exact cause of death. Quebec's anti-corruption squad carried out raids at the SAAQ headquarters in Quebec City today. This comes 2 weeks after UPAC confirmed it had been investigating the SAAQ for 3 months, ever since the Auditor General flagged problems with the agency's digital transformation. The rollout of SACLIC cost at least $1.1 billion. That's roughly $500 million over budget. And at the public inquiry currently underway, auditors have testified that several outside contractors and consultants had ties to the main person overseeing the SACLIC digital rollout. A group representing people living in Chinatown and Milton Park say they're going ahead with a class action lawsuit against the city and at least one homeless shelter. They say it's because they've run out of options. Stéphane Giroux explains.
It was barely a year ago that merchants in Chinatown sounded the alarm about the mass influx of unhoused people, including many who suffered from mental illness. Today, the situation remains the same, with drug dealers instilling fear among locals who aren't used to seeking attention.
That's why I'm here today. I'm speaking from my heart. I'm like a young woman, and I feel like not enough old people or not enough like younger people like me would like to speak about the situation.
The impact on seniors is devastating, says social activist Foniemi.
So now either they stay indoors, they lock themselves up, they just go out for basic necessities. And part of the reason why they stay indoors, they don't go out as often because of the growing problem of crime.
In response, several residents of other neighborhoods, including those living in the Milton Park sector, are filing a class action suit against the city and the Open Door shelter, claiming authorities never took precautions to protect people living around the shelter.
On a tendance à dire dans ce cas-là, pas dans ma cour.
People will say it's the not in my backyard syndrome, says lawyer Gérard Samet. But it's more than that. These vulnerable people are abandoned and nothing is being done about it. Samet originally announced a class action suit last year, and he's now going ahead with it because he claims it's the only way to get the authorities' attention on the growing problem. He's seeking $25,000 in damages for every tenant, homeowner, or business affected.
Drug dealers and you know, there's prostitution in Milton Park, there's drugs, there is, it's like terrible because the neighborhood is so filthy.
Citing the pending litigation, the shelter and the city declined our request for an interview. The residents say they have a court date this fall to get the class action authorized. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
Food insecurity is a growing issue across the country. Here in Montreal, the first ever Food Insecurity Summit focused on delivering real solutions. Sweeta Rassi reports.
At the On Rock Community Services on the West Island, the stocks of food are low and barely keeping up with demand.
We've never run out, but we have been in a place where we walk around with a bit of a worried face, wondering if we're going to make it this week.
The organization's president, Kim Reed, says his food bank helps around 300 families in and around Pierrefonds. But every week he sees new faces.
1 week we had 17 registrations.
Limited supply means more of these signs go up. Food insecurity is a national crisis. Data from Food Banks Canada shows more than 2 million people visit a food bank each month, numbers that have never been seen before.
So the stat that really keeps me up at night is that 30% of food banks ran out of food last year before they could meet their community's needs.
In Montreal, the first ever Food Insecurity Summit took place. Stakeholders from across Canada gathered to find solutions as food banks are reaching their limits and facing a perfect storm, a rise in the cost of living, a lack of supplies, along with increased hunger.
But the rate that we're seeing the increase right now is going to be unsustainable in the long term.
The goal, to cut food insecurity by half in the next 5 years.
But we also need to look long term at reducing the number of people who need food banks in the first place, and that's going to take government policy and government actions.
There's no band-aid solution, she says, but a collective effort will be needed from governments, corporations, nonprofits, and individuals. Back at On Rock Community Services, they take it day by day.
It's another one of those up and down things where sometimes we're doing great and other times we're riding the ragged edge of disaster.
A disaster he hopes never comes. Sweet Arasi, CTV News.
Lyft, the ride-sharing service that competes with Uber, is now in Quebec. Lyft officially launched its service in Montreal and Quebec City this week, and it's promising to expand to other Quebec cities soon. Lyft was already available in most other Canadian cities. Coming up, tensions mount in the Israel-Iran conflict.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
Pushback as Donald Trump steps up the rhetoric. And the dramatic images and the impact of a volcanic eruption in Indonesia.
Tonight on CTV National News, W5 investigates following the trail of a stolen car.
Hey, listen, man, I don't have time for this.
A trail that leads to an Ontario government agency.
How widespread is something like that across the country?
I would say that it's all across the country.
W5 investigates tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
Another round of airstrikes on day 6 of the military showdown between Israel and Iran. Israel is promising to continue attacks on Iran's military and nuclear program until it is no longer a threat. All this as U.S. President Donald Trump weighs in. Selena Wang reports.
Today, President Trump salutes a massive newly installed American flag at the White House as questions mount over whether he'll deploy the U.S. military to help Israel's offense in Iran. The tension around the U.S.'s involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict escalated this week when Trump upped the pressure on Iran, claiming he knows where its supreme leader is hiding and demands an unconditional surrender.
What does unconditional surrender mean?
Unconditional surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the, all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there.
Only the U.S. has a 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb capable of reaching Iran's deeply buried nuclear site. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his pitch for U.S. military support, insists that allowing Iran the potential to build a nuclear weapon is as much a problem for the United States.
Well, I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
But several Trump loyalists and some officials from both sides of the aisle are pushing back.
We don't need to escalate in Iran. That doesn't make anyone in the Middle East safer, and it certainly doesn't make the United States any safer.
The U.S. military has added assets to the region, including aircraft carriers and strike groups. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is adamant the U.S. is in a defensive posture and ready should Iran target American assets. Hegseth testified today on Capitol Hill.
At the Defense Department, our job is to stand ready and prepared with options, and that's precisely what we're doing.
Today, the Supreme Ayatollah blasted President Trump's demand for an unconditional surrender as, quote, threatening and absurd, warning that any military involvement by the United States will result in, quote, irreparable damage. Selena Wang, ABC News, the White House.
There is dramatic footage of a volcanic eruption in Indonesia. The eruption sent a towering ash cloud 11 kilometers into the sky. It could be seen more than 150 kilometers away. The volcano erupted 8 times over the weekend, spewing volcanic debris on nearby communities, leaving roads and roofs covered in ash. Several flights to the country's resort island of Bali have been canceled or delayed. Hundreds of people in central Newfoundland are being ordered out of their homes as a wildfire closes in on their community. Nearly 700 residents in the town of Badger are being told to pack up and leave because of a wildfire approaching from the southwest. Officials say the fire is over 5 square kilometers in size and was likely caused by a lightning strike.
We thought there might be a little window to make this decision a little bit later in the day, but we certainly felt it's better to be safe than sorry and make sure we move these people as soon as possible and that they know that we are there for them and that we'll provide any resources they need to get out of the community.
Evacuees are being told to head to Grand Falls, Windsor, around 30 kilometers away. 3 water bombers are being deployed to battle the fires, and sprinklers are being set up in Badger to try to keep the flames at bay. Still to come, AI anxiety.
Children will more often fear their social death than their actual physical death. Kids may not have taken a nude image of themselves, but what's happening is it's being created, right?
Disturbing deep fakes and child exploitation. And how a unique grocery store in BC is helping people put food on the table when times are tough. The STM is bringing back a rule banning loitering in metro stations. The transit agency says it is working, but others are warning it puts vulnerable people at risk. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil reports.
If you're in a metro station in Montreal, you've got to keep moving. The STM is reinstating what it calls its obligation to circulate policy until at least April 2026. But Andrew Morocco with St. Michael's Mission says the policy could hurt people who have nowhere to go.
If there's no space for someone to access shelter, then they're going to be exposed to dangerous conditions.
The policy was first tested last spring. It was introduced after a surge in violence and drug use in the metro. And according to the STM, the policy led to a 2% drop in crime, a 20% drop in assaults on employees, and a 30% reduction in service interruptions. The STM also points to a jump in passengers' sense of safety from 39 to 47% just 1 month after the policy took effect. STM's president, Eric Caldwell, says the policy is helping restore order in the network.
The impact of the measure is that we're more able to offer a secure, safe environment for our client and our customers.
But Morocco says the network still lacks basic resources. He says security can't come at the cost of human needs, like safe access to a public washroom.
Having access to basic facilities like washrooms, like a place to rest, it's essential for any member of our society.
The STM shut down a test washroom at Snowdon Station after reports of unsanitary conditions and safety concerns. Constable Justin Latulippe says adding washrooms would mean big expenses and new risks.
We're talking about narrow spaces that can be used for using drugs, aggression, and different type of behavior that are prohibited within our station.
Still, the STM says it's not turning its back on vulnerable people.
We are in support of public service that are offering shelter, offering health a resource, and we want to be partnered with them. We're partnered with them.
The STM is calling on government to provide more support to organizations that help those in need. Real change, which it says must come from beyond the transit network. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
As AI technology evolves, Edmonton police are warning kids and teens about new methods of exploitation. As Connor Hogg reports, in some cases, it's actually young people victimizing each other.
TikTok and stuff like that, you can see these AI videos like super real.
Students say AI plays a big part in their everyday lives. It can be used as a study tool. It can also be used to create difficult to discern deepfakes.
Everyone's like images going around, like you can get someone's like image like super like fast off the internet.
I actually just almost had a scam not too long ago, and it was someone trying to be a friend.
I just think that a lot of like the negative things aren't really being highlighted as much for sure.
Police say the technology can be used to benefit and to harm. According to Alert's Internet Child Exploitation Unit, AI is already being used to exploit young people, in most cases, by their peers.
What we're finding is that AI is being used to create nude images of other children and used as kind of this new form of cyberbullying.
Constable Stephanie Bosch says it can happen on any app, and the embarrassment AI images can cause is significant. Shame prevents victims from coming forward.
Children will more often fear their social death than their actual physical deaths. Kids may not have taken a nude image of themselves, but what's happening is it's being created, right? And it's being used to bully or harass or extort.
Students say they're wary about what they post and try to limit who can see it.
Personally, me, I just make my account private. Don't post too much pictures publicly online.
Keeping the things you share online to a minimum amount of people.
Bosch says parents need to be open to having difficult conversations with their kids.
Kids are exploring their sexuality online. There's nothing inherently bad with that. It just comes with its own set of risks that we have to discuss.
While the majority of ICE's work happens behind the scenes, in this case, Bosch says the public can have a direct impact.
If we're discounting their lives online, we're creating those barriers, inadvertently even, and it makes it hard for them to talk about it.
Prevention through conversation. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Ottawa police have released photos of two men suspected of scamming people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Austin Lee has more.
Ottawa police are working to track down these two suspects, wanted in connection to a bank investigator scam targeting Ottawa residents.
These two are responsible for withdrawals and cash purchases up to $250,000.
The scam starts with a phone call that shows up on the victim's phone as a call from a company like Amazon warning of fraudulent transactions.
Inadvertently, you'll give them your bank. You mean my BMO Visa card or my BMO MasterCard or and then once they get that, they call you back with a spoof number on your call display. So whichever bank you gave them, you'll get that number on your call display and it will match the back of your card.
After that, scammers send you a fake link, granting them access to your accounts. They'll also tell you to cut up your cards and leave them outside for a courier to pick up.
Once you give them those cards, even though they're cut up, they tape them back up and then they go spend them. And the largest victim we have is $125,000 in a 48-hour period.
Detective Wabe says things never seem to slow down for the Ottawa Police Service Organized Fraud Section.
Every day there's a new scam, so we'll figure out one scam, another scam pops up. No police force in Canada has enough resources to tackle everything. So we all work together for certain projects, but we don't have enough people.
Across Canada, nearly $650 million was reported lost to fraud last year, and that's just scratching the surface.
We only estimate that we get 5 to 10% of reports of what's actually out there, so it's only a very small sample. In reality, it's billions of dollars that is lost to fraud.
It's an issue the Canadian Banking Association is well aware of.
There are so many things that we are seeing in fraud trends that can be stopped if you take the time to think and to read about it.
And if there's one thing to take away from all of this,
if anybody is trying to pressure you into action, take a moment, take their name, their number, but call back your financial institution directly.
Austin Lee, CTV News.
A new survey found that most Canadians would support reducing mail delivery and other big changes to the way Canada Post operates. 72% of Canadians support reducing mail delivery to 3 days a week. The same percentage like the idea of the Postal Service branching into other services such as banking and parcel lockers. Just over half of Canadians believe Canada Post should be able to use non-union workers if it improves cost efficiency and quality of service. A unique grocery store in BC is helping people struggling to make ends meet. They're turning surplus food into ready-to-make meal kits. Michelle Brunoro explains.
3 years ago, Andrea Sigmund was in a tough spot.
I suddenly became a single mom to 3 littles, 2 toddlers, and a newborn baby.
And she found herself struggling to put food on the table.
Sometimes it can be really hard to ask for help.
She was referred here to the Gathering Market.
Come on in.
It's a boutique grocery store.
We didn't want it set up to look like a warehouse.
Started by another mom who also understands what food insecurity feels like.
When my kids were little, we struggled to put food on the table. And as a mom, it is one of the hardest things to admit that you're not able to feed your own children, and I had to rely on handouts, and I hated every single minute of that.
Now a Red Seal chef, Hika Morton has taken her skills and created a non-profit grocery store that looks like a high-end market.
Our families have a tendency to fall between the cracks. They're not who you would think of that would need to use a food bank or a free service of food. They are families who do not want to have to go that route, but they cannot quite afford a retail grocery store.
Tucked inside a church, the Gathering Market offers families affordable, healthy food choices.
If you have $30 or $40 a week to spend on groceries, that is enough to make sure you have food for your family for the entire week. Garlic chicken rice bowl, that's the one.
Every week, meal kits are created by volunteers with donated surplus food.
Our meal kits will serve a family of 4 for only $5. It's a little bit like a chef's plate, so everything is prepared, measured out for you. We will have everything from chicken and pepper fajitas to black bean and beef burritos to hamburgers to smokies and buns.
In the past 3 years, Gathering Market has provided more than 51,000 meals. But Gathering Market provides more than just food.
These people are here to love on you, to help you, to support you.
It also offers dignity.
See you, Andrea.
Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Abbotsford.
Weather, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's second pair is a gift event, including designer frames for a limited time.
Well, from surplus food to surplus heat, lots to talk about with the temperatures that we're seeing in the Montreal area. Let's start off with where we were earlier today. We had a temperature of 25 in Montreal this morning. It's feeling like 29 right now, or rather is at a temperature of 29 right now, feeling like 37 degrees with the humidity. So again, lots to talk about, and that 37 is actually also warmer than our record high for this day that was set in 1994 at 33.9 degrees. So again, those temperatures are continuing to move up, and we are expecting another warm night on its way. So for tonight, we're looking at a warm low of 21 along with partly cloudy skies coming in. For tomorrow morning, our starting temperature is at 22 degrees, but we are expecting that to come along with some possible thunder showers. So there's a 90% chance of that, and we are looking at that chance of showers continuing into the afternoon as well as we work our way up to a high of 27 degrees, but feeling more like 35. So let's take a closer look at where these showers and when they're coming in. We're looking at those showers moving over from the west, hitting the Montreal area by about 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. So for Montreal, we could see up to 16 millimeters coming our way, but we expect those showers to clear out in the afternoon. At that point, at around midday, is when Quebec City will expect to see similar effects, and then that system continues to push eastward. So if you are outside of Montreal, but in the areas of Mont-Tremblant over to Témiscamingue, even up to around Lac Saint-Jean, you are facing a rainfall warning issued by Environment Canada. That means you could see anywhere between 40 to 60 millimeters of showers coming your way. So watch out, certainly, if you are out on those roads. As far as what Montreal is expecting, we're looking at some good news, that is sun and clouds toward the end of the weekend.
And we go back now to our top story tonight. After a frantic 4-day search, a missing Montreal toddler found safe and sound. 3-year-old Claire Bell found alone near a highway in Ontario. And Denise, as we know, this is a story that really captivated people.
Maya, since the word came out that this little girl was missing and last seen here, or last seen on Sunday afternoon, and the mother's car was found here just behind me, there has been a frantic search for this girl. We are on day 4. Hundreds of police forces have been searching a very large area, an expanse that is now, we found out today, going all the way to Ontario. And there was really very little hope that she would be found alive after that amount of time. But sure enough, this afternoon, we did get the word that she was found on the side of the 417 highway near Castleman, Ontario, by police officers. She was able to speak with them. She was in a good enough state that she could talk to them. They were able to take her to a hospital where she is in stable condition. But just the amount of people that came out, it's so eerie now because there's literally no one behind me. This parking lot was full. It has been a buzz of activity all day, and everyone has now gone home. They are done. The search, the girl is found. And so there's just been a tremendous outpouring of emotion and relief. And we've had people honking their horns as they pass, cheering. We've had just so many great reactions because we're just not used to hearing such good outcomes in these kinds of stories. And so really the police wanted to thank everybody today for all of their help. They said they received hundreds of tips. They were just given so so many leads that they could follow that eventually led them to this girl. So it's just been a large effort, and now the OPP and the SQ together are giving a news conference on the latest. We'll have more on that tonight, Maya, but for now we just want to celebrate this good news.
Yeah, it's really just like a collective sigh of relief. It's been pretty amazing. Amazing to see this outcome, which we hope for, but in cases like this, it's not always the outcome you expect. Thank you, Denise. Denise Roberts reporting live from Coteau-du-Lac. A partial curfew imposed in Los Angeles has been lifted. The curfew covered a 2.5-kilometer area of downtown LA. LA's mayor imposed the curfew in response to looting and vandalism over Donald Trump's immigration crackdown in the city. Police made more than 500 arrests. The ICE raids that triggered the protests are still happening. 3 years ago, an armored truck heist in Southern California made global headlines. Well, now there is a major development. Police say they know who stole all those jewels. Rhiannon Ali has the story.
It's believed to be one of the largest jewelry heists in U.S. history, fit for a Hollywood movie. Now federal authorities are charging 7 men in connection with breaking into a Brinks truck at a California rest stop in 2022 and stealing $100 million in gold, diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and luxury watches.
We had a lock on here. We had a lock on here, yeah. And it's gone.
Authorities say the suspects followed the Brinks truck from a jewelry show near San Francisco, about 300 miles, to a rest stop in Lebec, north of L.A. While the truck was stopped, officials say one guard took a nap while the other went into the rest stop for nearly 30 minutes. And that's when the jewels were stolen. Responding deputies' body camera video captured the moment they realized 24 bags of jewels and gems were gone.
I counted 49. 49? Out of how many? 73. That's a lot. Yeah.
2 of the 7 men charged have been indicted on theft and conspiracy charges. 4 others remain at large. The other is serving prison time in Arizona in an unrelated case.
Most of the certified diamonds do have serial numbers. A lot of this is trackable.
The LA Times reports some of the stolen jewels and large amounts of cash were recovered yesterday after search warrants were executed.
These are mom and pop jewelers. I have a client 66 years old. He lost everything in this theft.
Rhiannon Ali, ABC News, New York.
In Ontario, 2 men are under arrest and accused of stealing nearly $300,000 worth of alcohol from the province's liquor stores. 25-year-old Anuj Kumar and 29-year-old Simapreet Singh of Brampton are facing 35 charges, including theft, possession of stolen property, and drug possession. Both suspects are in custody awaiting bail hearings. Police say they expect to make more arrests. A mysterious theft in Cambridge, Ontario has been solved. Alexandra Hollick explains how the cherished item was recovered.
When someone tells you to take a seat, this isn't usually what they mean. But it's exactly what happened in Cambridge earlier this month.
Someone came and stole the chair.
2 people made off with this red top-like spun chair that typically sits out in the open.
A bit of shock that someone wanted to steal one of them. Number 1, they're heavy. Number 2, they're pretty unique.
The unique crime called for a unique approach.
We posted a little SOS out to the community to help us find the missing chair, and we got a great community response.
Pictures of potential suspects and a $100 reward. Within minutes, the Gaslight District received tips, photos, and a link to a listing.
They found the chair on Facebook Marketplace. They had seen the security footage of who it was that stole it and actually located that gentleman in downtown.
But the search for the missing seat didn't stop there.
They put so much pressure on the people that stole it that the people that stole it actually returned it.
How did they know they caught the culprits?
The same people were on the security footage stealing the chair. It was the same people on the security footage bringing the chair back.
The reward wasn't granted, but Gaslight District President Scott Higgins says similar incidents have left staff on the edge of their seats.
We decided to invest in both cameras and in on-site security overnight to try to limit the amount of theft that happens here.
Regional police say they're not investigating the theft at this time, and the Gaslight District says it isn't planning on filing a report. However, Higgins says he's grateful the community stepped up and helped return this cherished item. Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Cambridge.
Still ahead, bringing Bruce Springsteen to the big screen. revealing the cast of the biopic documenting the boss. Plus, the lone Quebecer in the NHL Finals celebrating a Stanley Cup win.
Your Health, brought to you by Gratian Scaff's second pair is a gift event, including designer frames for a limited time.
The summer season, the time of year when many families take a break and get away for a while, but when the trip ends, returning to reality can be tough. Mandy Gaither has more on how to beat those post-vacation blues.
Taking a break can be relaxing and rejuvenating, but the end of vacation can bring on the blues.
We might be having a great time and then we come back to reality and then, we're back to the grind.
Psychologist Rachel Gableman with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says there can be a sadness as you return to a regular routine. You may be faced with loads of laundry or stacks of work and feel like there's no longer a trip to look forward to.
It can just feel like, oh, why did I bother maybe taking that vacation at all?
But Gableman says taking time off is good for our well-being, and you can beat the post-vacation blues by setting yourself up for success before you leave. Clean your house, stock your freezer and pantry so you don't have to clean and shop for groceries as soon as you return from vacation. When planning your trip, set aside a day when you get back so that you can reset before returning to work. And while you're on that trip, live in the moment. Let yourself enjoy the time you do have off instead of thinking about having to go back home. Finally, when you do go back home, she says start planning your next vacation, even if it's just a staycation or weekend getaway.
We, as humans, really like to look forward to things. It is something that might reduce our stress and help us to keep going.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Business news brought to you by Oview Duluth, supporting families of sick children throughout the month of June.
Canadian stocks moved higher today, closing in on last week's record high. With more, here's Andrew Bell.
Hello there. Toronto's benchmark stock index edged higher today, leaving it only slightly down from that record high close posted on Tuesday of last week. Canadian stocks are up almost 7.5% this year, outpacing a gain of less than 2% for the US market. One winner in Toronto today was the natural gas processor Keyera. Its stock jumped almost 6% as investors welcomed the company's plan to buy the Canadian natural gas liquids business of Texas-based Plains All American, plus some US assets, for just over $5 billion. BMO upgraded Keyera shares to buy, calling the purchase a, quote, scale-changing deal. The Canadian dollar traded at 73.01 US cents, down almost 1/4 cent. West Texas Intermediate oil was at $73.50 US a barrel, up 23 cents. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil has it at $61.25, up 59 cents. And the TSX ended at 26,559.85, up just over 18 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg.
Bruce Springsteen fans are getting their first glimpse at a new biopic and its star, Jeremy Allen White. The film is called Deliver Me From Nowhere, and it follows Springsteen as he records his 6th album, Nebraska. To play Springsteen, White studied hundreds of archive videos to capture the singer's characteristic New Jersey rasp and the athletic stage moves. The film is set to be released in theaters on October 24th. Well, the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup, and the lone Quebecer in the NHL final is celebrating. Forward AJ Greer was born in Notre-Dame-des-Prairies and was signed by the Panthers last year on a 2-year contract. He missed several games in the playoffs because of injuries, but returned for Game 3 of the finals. Greer says it's a big turnaround from 4 years ago when he almost gave up on the NHL.
thinking back to everything that I went through personally, and the adversity and the emotional roller coaster, the blood, the sweat, the tears, literally, like being able to throw my gloves up, lift that cup. I can't imagine, like I can't believe I'm here.
The last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup was the Montreal Canadiens in 1993, 32 years ago.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
An all too familiar sight.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvmontreal.ca, your home for news.
In Denmark, thousands of colorful kites are flying high. Kite enthusiasts from 26 countries have gathered for the 40th anniversary of a kite festival. More than 25,000 kites will be featured during the 4-day event on the Danish island of Fano. It is considered a prime destination for kite flying because of its wide, flat beaches and coastal winds.
Well, with our beautiful temperatures, we have the perfect kite flying weather right here at home. Let's take a look at what's coming our way this evening. We're seeing a low of 21 degrees for the night, along with partly cloudy skies shifting to showers in the morning. And you're going to want to get ready for tomorrow because we're looking at a high chance of scattered thunder showers throughout the day. We're expecting to hit a high of 26, but you'll want those umbrellas ready.
Thanks, Anastasia. And before we go, a reminder, we're expecting another police press conference shortly, starting at 7 o'clock with updates on the missing toddler who was found. Caroline Van Vlartigan will be keeping an eye on that and bringing you the latest on The Late Show tonight at 11:30. And you can always check out our website for updates, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Thanks as always for tuning in. Have a good evening.